Hello there, and welcome to today's episode of the Easy EdTech podcast. My name is Monica Burns, and I am so glad that you're here to join me today. If you want to make the most of education technology, aka EdTech, well, you are in the right place. My goal has always been to help make EdTech easier and give you ideas you can try yourself, share with a colleague, or bookmark for later in the school year. Every Tuesday here on the Easy EdTech podcast, you'll hear stories from my time in the classroom, the work I do now with schools and districts, and my travels to different EdTech events. Get ready for solo episodes where I share some quick tips and stories, and interviews full of practical ideas and stories from new guests each month. If we mention something you'd like to check out, make sure to click the link. You'll find it in the episode description or the summary area where you're listening to this podcast, or you can find every episode and all of the resources we mention by going to classtechtips.com/podcast, or by going to classtechtips.com and just clicking on the Easy EdTech podcast button at the top of the page. This episode is sponsored by my quick reference guide using AI chatbots to enhance planning and instruction, published by ASCD and ISTE. It's full of quick tips educators can use, and Amazon almost always has it on sale. Just search for me, Monica Burns, on Amazon to see all of my books and quick reference guides. But please remember that there are 2 authors named Monica Burns on Amazon, and I'm pretty sure you'll be able to tell the difference between our books. Just head to Amazon, search Monica Burns, and you'll find my quick reference guide using AI chatbots to enhance planning and instruction. This week's episode is all about Techy classroom decor specifically for spring. Now, I don't know about you, but this has been one of my snowiest winter, I think the snowiest winter I've ever experienced here in New Jersey. The snow has finally melted off of our front lawn and our backyard as I'm recording this for you in the first week of March. It feels like spring now that the time change has taken place, and I can only hope that we will continue to have some warmer weather, be able to go on some neighborhood walks, all the things that felt really hard about the past couple months. As much as I do love the seasons changing and really do enjoy winter, I feel very ready for spring. So if spring is on your mind as well, I have some ideas for you today related to classroom decorations, some things that you might want to do connected to some favorite ed tech tools. Now, of course, though, seasons don't change everywhere in the world, right? And you may not feel like this is a spring season you're about to get into. But if you want to have something that feels a little fresh, a little new for the next few months, this episode is absolutely for you too. So let's get into it. I've got a list for you of some classroom decoration ideas that I think are perfect for spring. First up is a bulletin board with AI-generated images. You can create a bulletin board that showcases some spring-themed AI-generated images, maybe something like blooming flowers or spring landscapes, and you might even have students write captions for these pictures that explain the image or tie it back to a lesson, like maybe you're learning about pollination, right, or springtime in different biomes, right? And you can use tools like Adobe Firefly. That's the AI image generation tool built into Adobe Express and other Adobe products. I've done some work with their team, so I love that one. You could use Magic Media inside of Canva's AI tools, or you might even use Nano Banana inside of Gemini. That's been one of my favorites to play around with recently. So it's an opportunity to create some unique, eye-catching visuals that might be a little bit unexpected. And maybe you even bring students into the process. They might not be hands-on with any AI-powered tools right now, but maybe you ask them to submit some prompts, and then you use those prompts to help create some images for a springtime themed bulletin board. Next up are some student-created video tutorials. You might have students make some short videos that walk through how to solve a spring-themed word problem, maybe calculating how many seeds are needed for a new garden or dividing up picnic supplies. You can get creative here. And you might have students make these videos and then upload them to a platform like maybe Google Drive, and then link them to a QR code, and the QR code could go on your poster, bulletin board, right, inside a space that you are decorating, right? They can scan it and they can watch those videos. If you joined me for the webinar I did with ScreenPal last month, I talked about video creation too, right? And you could even use that tool with students, have kids make screen recordings or just jump on video, and then have a quick link for them to share. Number 3 on the list is spring-themed music playlist. I love a playlist. You might have checked out the post I did, I think it was last year, all about my playlist of podcasts related to AI and education. But you could do more of a musical spin here, and you can curate a playlist of spring-themed songs for students. And you might even make it a bit more accessible for students by connecting songs to a QR code, right, that links to a Spotify or a YouTube playlist. Could be something like Here Comes the Sun or something that feels spring-like or cheerful. Or you might even try out, now I haven't used this yet, but I shared some info about it with my AI and education membership because it was just announced as like, they announced it in December, but now they opened it up more globally. And Spotify has like a prompt generation with a playlist, like make a playlist by using a prompt, like type in what you want. So that's one way to do it. Now, some of you know that I have a little one and I will often just pick like one song and then let Spotify suggest the next song. And usually it's pretty good at almost creating a playlist for us. So if you're looking for some inspiration, I know that's a place you could go to as well. Next up are AI-generated coloring pages. I love to make coloring pages using AI, and the tools that I typically use for this, like a ChatGPT or Gemini, are getting a lot stronger. So you could type in something really specific, like you want something you're learning about in a classroom with flowers or butterflies or a rainy day, stuff behind it. Or you could put your school mascot in more of a spring-themed environment. And although this might feel like a little like a silly or light or fluffy activity, it's great for kids who need to have that focus when they're listening to a read aloud or an audio clip. And you could display this finished artwork on a classroom bulletin board. So great way to combine something offline with a touch of a digital connection too. So those first ones on the list, the classroom decoration ideas like a bulletin board with AI generated images, links to student created video tutorials, a link to a QR code, some spring themed music playlist, maybe listing out the songs or favorite quotes from it or posting the QR code on a bulletin board, and displaying those AI generated coloring pages are just a start. So a few more classroom decoration ideas for you. You could do an interactive nature timeline, again with QR codes, one of my favorites. You could link to videos or websites about stages of planet growth or the history of Earth Day. If you have a digital bulletin board, you might even make a timeline using a tool like Padlet. They're one I did a partnership with earlier this year that I'm always been a super big fan of. You could also link out to some virtual field trip ideas. That might be another way that you make your bulletin board have a bit of a spring theme, like some botanical gardens or national parks. Lots of options on tools like Google Arts and Culture's 360cities.net is another favorite. Now, speaking of a digital kind of screen, right, you might have a screen or bulletin board in your classroom that has the digital piece, right, digital signage, and display a slideshow of spring photos taken by students. If you don't have them out and about snapping spring-ish photos, you could also curate some from a source like Unsplash. Maybe you pick out 20 that you love and you have kids vote for 10 and you add them to that digital photo frame or digital display, if you will. Now, you could also decide to have maybe a challenge that you post that has a spring themed, like a spring themed coding puzzle for students to solve, maybe something that they would then see on kind of a printout or something analog, and then they could go to a digital tool like Scratch and access it there to solve that puzzle. Now, you could also include some book recommendations in your spring themed display, maybe some spring themed books that you want to share. If you're not quite sure where to start, you might have a librarian or media specialist in your school that can give you some suggestions, or you might head over to a chatbot and kind of describe your group of students, what things they like or to read, what genres maybe you're studying, and ask for some spring connections. Now, 2 more ideas for you. I can't help but have a weather themed option for you. Digital board or printouts that show daily weather updates is a great way to get kids interested in spring weather, particularly if you're in a region where things change quickly. You might also have students do some weather research. If you've got a role or job in your classroom, they could do some weather research and then post that data on that bulletin board, kind of have that spring weather changing connection. Or the final idea on the list, which kind of connects to the first one, right? Our first idea was about AI generated images. You could do a word wall with some AI generated images, pairing some spring themed vocab words with some AI generated images to illustrate concepts like blossom or habitat. And you might even have students create the images themselves, like if they're using tools like Adobe Express or even Adobe Express inside of Magic School, that would be a great option too. So rounding out today's episode, right? Plenty of directions you could go in. Some of these have an AI connection, of course, too. But if you're decorating your classroom with some spring themes, it's a great way to bring some fresh energy into your learning environment. Having a refresh space or a new bulletin board doesn't just have to happen in elementary classrooms either, right? You could make some academic connections to your secondary content, just spruce up a bulletin board with a little bit more of a spring connection. And if you're not sure where to start, you could always head over to a chatbot and say, right, this is something I want to do. I want to make a word wall with AI images for spring. This is what we're working on right now in our current unit of study. Help me make a connection. And you might find that chatbot gives you a perfect or close enough idea that you can then run with. So for more strategies and ideas on how to use AI in the classroom, don't forget to check out my book, EdTech Essentials. The 2nd edition is now out. I've got a free study guide on my website for you too. And of course, you could always just send a message my way via email, wherever you would like to connect best, right? Responding to my newsletter. That's where I see lots of messages from folks, and I'll get right back to you. So let's make this EdTech easy with a few key points from today's episode. Use AI-generated images to design spring-themed classroom displays. Incorporate QR codes to link students to interactive content. Have students create video tutorials for spring-themed lessons. Set up digital displays to showcase seasonal photos and weather updates. Remember, you can find the show notes and the full list of resources from the episode by heading to easyedtechpodcast.com to find today's episode number 362. This episode is sponsored by my quick reference guide using AI chatbots to enhance planning and instruction, published by ASCD and ISTE. It's full of quick tips educators can use, and Amazon almost always has it on sale. Just search for me, Monica Burns, on Amazon to see all of my books and quick reference guides. But please remember that there are 2 authors named Monica Burns on Amazon, and I'm pretty sure you'll be able to tell the difference between our books. Just head to Amazon, search Monica Burns, and you'll find my quick reference guide using AI chatbots to enhance planning and instruction. Thank you for listening to this new episode of the Easy EdTech podcast. I love creating new episodes for you each week, but I could use a bit of help spreading the word about the podcast. Can you leave a rating or review on your favorite podcast app? Spotify will let you tap on the stars, and Apple Podcasts will let you tap on the stars and leave a 1 or 2 sentence review. Thank you so much for taking this extra step. It helps other educators find episodes like this one when they're searching for EdTech tips.